We're live.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to Hump Day Hangouts Gone Mobile here for episode 201. I'm broadcasting from my car somewhere in the hills of Pennsylvania, but we got almost the rest of the team. It looks like Hernan maybe was busy today, but let's do our thing and go through and say hello to everybody. So, Chris, how are you doing?
Doing good. Excited to be here.
Awesome. Bradley, how you doing, man? This is weird. Usually you're the last person on my screen, but today you're in the middle. So how you doing?
Must be because of the mobile device. I'm
Yeah.
doing well. Busy, been working hard on content for POFU Live, as well as a product that we're launching on October 1st. So kind of like neck deep in content production again, which is really cool because, I like that kind of stuff. So I'm excited about the next few weeks.
Nice. Marco, last but not least, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, man? Just had a really bad rainstorm. Not as bad as some of you guys are gonna get on the East Coast, right down south. My prayers go out to all of you guys. Hope you're all safe. Get the hell out if you're in one of those zones. Don't say, oh, it's just gonna pass me by. Fuck it. Get the fuck out.
Dude,
Go
my
do
sister
something.
lives in Hilton Head, South Carolina, which is an island.
Yes.
And she's even though the governor of South Carolina said evacuate, the coastline should evacuate, she said no, I'm staying. I keep telling her, she's got 2 kids, I keep telling her she's stupid, but she says she's going to ride it out. So
Ed Gelb is in South Carolina.
yeah, he's in Bluffton. That's right. That's like adjacent to Hilton Head.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, guys, we'll be thinking about you, sending prayers your way. Lots of good energy. Hopefully this will just pass by. It won't be as bad as it's looking. At any rate, having said that, busy, as you know, MGYB.co. We're getting that together, putting the shop together, done for you services, of course, and just a lot of stuff. We keep adding products and services in there just to make everyone's life easier. And then, of course, I'm on my next gen stuff that I've been working on. It's been 2 years, 2 arduous years of just trying to work it out. And anytime you try to automate, and Chris will back me up on this, API changes and then everything goes all to shit. And then you have to go in, right? you gotta tweak it, you gotta fix it, comply with whatever the API is requesting, or how you're supposed to do the calls or whatever. And then it'll happen again until you get into that sweet spot, or you get trusted enough where sometimes you can bypass some of the smaller shit that happens. So at any rate, we're there. We hit the sweet spot. We're getting some really good results with what we're doing, and it's something that we'll be talking. I was hoping for POFU Live, not gonna happen, but I think we're gonna have a very Merry Christmas.
All right. You hit the sweet spot of the G spot, the Google spot. Is that it?
Always.
Actually, we did one better, because we did away with the need to hit the G spot. No G tickle. No G tickle.
There'll be men lined up for that.
Pulling this conversation back down. I want to circle back to POFU Live and let everyone know. We'll put the links up there if one of you guys can do that for me, since I'll probably try to do this on my phone and end up hanging up or something. But POFU Live tickets are going. We are limiting it to 25. We do have some openings left. Now's a great time to grab your tickets. If you have any questions, just fire off an email to support@semanticmastery.com. But we're really looking forward to that. We're starting to lay down the schedule. So those of you who have already bought your tickets, we're going to be having some information going out to you in the next week or two with some of the details. And then moving along as well on that, those of you who are new today and watching us, first of all, thanks for listening to some weirdo in his car that you haven't watched yet. But thank you for watching us, Semantic Mastery, and checking out Hump Day Hangouts. We do appreciate it. Come here, ask us questions, digital marketing, SEO, whatever it is. If we can't answer it, we'll always point you in the best direction that we can. And if you are new, go check out the battle plan. That's the best place to get started. And if you've been listening to us for a while and you're thinking about it, come join our mastermind. There's a multitude of reasons. I'm not going to go into them right here. I'll let Bradley, I think you were going to talk a little bit about some stuff maybe that was going on in the mastermind, but we've got a lot of people doing a lot of really exciting stuff, and we're looking forward to some of them coming to POFU Live and and, helping them take their stuff up a notch, whether they're going from starting an agency or starting their own business or growing what's existing. This stuff is getting pretty exciting, and we've had a lot of members had a lot of real growth this year, especially in 2018.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so do we have anything else to announce, or can we get into it?
That's it on my end. You guys good?
Yeah. I was going to just elaborate slightly on the PoFu Live stuff and the mastermind as well. So yeah, guys, PoFu Live is going to be a great event. It's going to be our first one, but we've got a lot that we're going to be sharing. We've got a very specific format on what we're going to be doing, which is a simple process for how to grow your business, like how to first prospect and get clients. Number 2, how to fulfill. Number 3, how to scale, so that you can literally become a business owner instead of self-employed, right? Self-employed is what most of us are, including myself even to this point, because, and self-employed is certainly better than being an employee of working for somebody else. But when we do most of the work ourselves, we're just basically working a job. It's a job where we're our own boss. And that is, again, so much better than working for somebody else. I get that. But we still have to trade hours for dollars. In other words, we still have to do the actual work most of the time in order to get paid. And we're trying to develop our businesses to a point where we can remove ourselves to where we have automations in place and key personnel in place to be able to still run the business and generate revenue without us having to be there on a day-to-day basis, right? And that's essentially what PoFu Live is about, is how to get to that position with your businesses. And that's why we're trying to keep it to 25 people or less, because we want to actually give a lot of individualized attention to our attendees. In part, when you sign up to attend PoFu Live, you're going to go through a survey, which is going to get you thinking about your business ahead of time. It's got to be completed when you come to the event. And will get you thinking about your business and developing a business plan if you don't already have one. And I bet most of you probably don't have an articulated business plan, right? Most of you probably have not done that. And it's something I've struggled with throughout my career as well, is I always have some vague idea of what I want. And I think, oh, no, I know what I want. So there's no sense in me writing it down, right? Defining it. But in all reality, when you don't have something very concrete like a roadmap, which is what an executive summary or a business plan really is, it's like a roadmap, which helps to kind of keep you focused and working towards what your goal is. But when you don't have that to reference or to refer to often, then it's easy to get blown around by whatever winds are in the industry at the moment, if that makes sense. Meaning, I know we're marketers, we always get opportunities presented to us via email and social media groups and all kinds of stuff where, hey, this is the next big thing. You can make $1 million doing this, and you can crush it doing this and doing that. So we always go chasing these freaking shiny objects or these new methods because we're opportunity seekers. And we never actually fully commit to one particular method that makes us money. And that's where I think a lot of us have, including myself, have allowed my business to fail or not succeed as much as quickly as I would like it to, because I've chased other opportunities instead of really focusing in on one particular method until I get it to work and produce revenue consistently, and to the point where I can remove myself from that day-to-day operations and have it produce, right? So, I mean, even if you have something that's working for you and you're making money, if it's you doing it all the time, the next logical step is for you to automate it or outsource it or a combination of both, so that you can still generate revenue from that but not have to do it yourself. Then if you want to learn something else, you certainly can, and you'll have the ability to do that because your other method is making you money, because you've got a process in place, right? And so that's essentially what PoFu Live is all about. And speaking of that specifically, I'm developing a process right now. I've been working on it for 2 days straight now, again, 2 full days, for a very specific method for building your own lead generation assets as well as your own agency. It's kind of a unique way of approaching it. And I'm developing that out right now. And there's going to be 2 versions of the training, the full training with all the process docs, everything that I'm training my own virtual assistants to do right now, so that I can do exactly what I just said, which was remove myself from this process and still have it generate revenue. That's going to be revealed at PoFu Live. But there's going to be a kind of a watered down version of it, or kind of like a condensed version for a more simplified version that's going to require a lot more manual work. It's for a solopreneur. Essentially, it's going to be the same method, but for somebody that wants to do the work themselves, which I don't recommend. But if you're just getting started, it's a good way to get started. That's going to be coming available in a product we're launching called Local Lease Pro, which will be included in a bundle that it's going to be included in a side hustle toolbox is what it's called. That's launching on October 1st. Don't have a lot of details for you guys just yet. We will. In about another week or so, we're going to start mailing out on that. We'll have more information about it. But for those of you that want a glimpse into the method that I'm talking about without coming to POFU Live, that's where you're going to be able to get it. And I would highly recommend that you all, mark your calendar for October 1st when the Side Hustle Toolbox comes out. It's going to be a great product. We're going to sell it outside of the bundle at $299. If you're a Mastermind member, you're going to get it for free. If you're not a Mastermind member, you'd have to pay $299. Or if you buy it as part of the bundle, which is the Side Hustle Toolbox, it's going to be like $100. Don't quote me on that. I don't know what the final price is yet, but it's somewhere around $100. And there's a reason why we're doing that. So we're going to promote that around October 1st. We'd highly recommend that you guys pick that up. It's going to be inexpensive. The product, our product, I can't speak about everyone else's product that's going to be part of the toolbox because I haven't reviewed them all. But I can tell you ours alone is worth the price of admission. So anyways, I would encourage you guys to come check out POFU Live and also mark your calendars for that. Do you guys want to add to that at all before I move on? And by the way, Hernan snuck in. What's up, buddy?
Sorry about that. I'm truly sorry, but I'm truly excited, and I hope to see you guys on POFU Live. We have some really good stuff coming up. I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to listening to each of you guys because you have some really good stuff to share. I have the privilege of getting to know firsthand what you guys are going to be talking about, and it's going to be pretty amazing. So
it's awesome. All right, I think we're good. We can wrap it up.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get into it.
All right.
Cool.
Yep.
Okay. Tom's up. What's up, Tom? He says, hey, guys, Bradley on episode 200 last week. I know, not hard to believe. We're at 201 already. He said, you answered a question on the rank and rent video model, and you mentioned running the same poking campaign every month. I want to make sure I understand you correctly. When you run the same campaign every month, do you use the same videos or create new ones every month? No, use the same ones, Tom. Here's the thing. It's a churn and burn strategy. Okay. So, a lot of the rank and rent models are about ranking a video or, a couple of videos, a handful of videos, and then maintaining those rankings. And that's certainly possible. I've been doing it for years. I've got some videos that are still producing revenue for me because they're rented out or leased out, or I'm doing SEO services for a client's videos. So I'm not renting it, but I'm actually, they're paying me to maintain the rankings for those videos. And I've been doing those for years. I've still got some of them, some of them been earning revenue for years. However, there's always an issue with that, right? The problem with that can be that the video can be, it can slip in the rankings. Google could decide that particular keyword, it doesn't like having videos on page 1 anymore. We all know that happens from time to time, and then it'll push it to page 2, and it'll make it virtually impossible to get it to stick on page 1. There's a number of things that could happen, right? And if all of your revenue is tied into one video, right, or a couple of videos, a handful of videos, and you lose that one video, or it drops in rankings, and then the client is calling you and asking you what's up, or if it's a lead gen video, it stops producing leads, whatever the case. In your case, you're saying rank and rent. So you would be leasing the videos out. Well, somebody's not going to want to rent or pay a monthly lease fee for a video that's not ranking and producing leads, right? And so again, you can go that route. It's certainly possible. I've done it for many years. But what I found is that it's easier when you have the process in place. If you got a good industrial strength video marketing tool, and they're a dime a dozen now, guys. They really are. There's a couple that we suggest. My favorite tools are Peter Drew's tools for software stuff. I don't run most software, guys. I hire that stuff out because I don't enjoy playing with software. It's just too much of a learning curve and too time consuming. But that's part of the reason I like Peter Drew's tools. And I do run, as a matter of fact, I got one running in the background right now, as you can see. I've got one right here running in the background, one of Peter Drew's tools. And it's because I use his tools because they're simple, right? So for video poking, I would use something like LiveRank Sniper. If I was going to be doing a bunch of spam videos targeting a bunch of keywords and having actual videos there instead of just placeholders, so LiveRank Sniper is like placeholders. It creates scheduled live events, but there's not an actual video there. It will rank a video thumbnail, but it won't have an actual video there. So when someone clicks on it, it just is the live events or event starting soon screen. If that makes sense. So those are good for identifying keyword opportunities, but something like Hangout Millionaire is much better for actually uploading videos, right? So it will actually upload videos to YouTube. So that's a good tool. If I was going to run it myself, I would run LiveRank Sniper or Hangout Millionaire. However, there's also another really good tool by Ravji called Video Marketing Blitz. And there's a tool inside that suite of tools called the Video Keyword Prospector. That's what I've trained one of my VAs to run. He runs it damn near full time. He works for me full time, but it's one of his primary job functions. And so he runs that tool all the time. I say that, I'm telling you about that because that tool is great, but it has a learning curve. Quite a learning curve. Once you get the hang of it, it's super powerful because you can add, like, for example, we have at any given time 50 YouTube channels connected to that tool. So that when we take a video, and this is getting to the heart of your question here, Tom. We use the same video over and over and over again because it's getting uploaded to 50 channels. So in other words, if we're going to take a keyword or a set of keywords and we're going to target an area, right? Like a radius. So we're going to cover all the cities or town names within a specific radius from the business location. And there's a handful of keywords, let's say 2 or 3 keywords. Let's say we've got 30 locations we want to target and we've got 2 keywords that we want to target. So that gives us a total of 60 combinations. So what we would do is take one video, we would optimize it, and then we would upload it. You can see in the background, I still got tools popping up. We would optimize it and then use the Video Marketing Blitz tool to upload that same video to a whole bunch of different channels. And guys, these are channels without syndication networks. And I'm not trying to shoot myself in the foot here and tell you guys you don't need syndication networks. If you're building a channel that's going to be like a money channel, something like that, you absolutely want that. But what I'm talking about now is a specific churn and burn strategy. So these are just channels that we buy, phone verified accounts, we buy, and then we add them to the tool, and it's all done via API. So you have to create the API tokens. That's why I said it's a bitch. It's time consuming to set up. It's a bit of a learning curve. But once you've got it down pat, and I don't recommend that you do it, Tom. I would recommend that you might that you hire it out. Hire a VA and train them how to do it. But then that same video will get uploaded to, let's say, 50 channels, 50 channels that don't have syndication networks. They're just orphaned accounts, right? They're just double phone verified YouTube accounts. They don't have connections to anything else out on the web. Well, a lot of those videos will rank. So like I said, out of the example I was using, 2 keywords, 30 locations, that's 60 keyword combinations, right? So out of the 60, well, my VA will run the campaign and he'll come back and there's an option to run the rank checker to have it pull back all of the URLs on page 1 only or page 1 and page 2 of Google for each individual keyword. I always select just on page 1 only. I don't care about what's on page 2. Some people say, okay, well, it's on page 2 with a little push, I can get it to page 1. Maybe so, but I'm not worried about that. Out of 60 keywords that I would test, my VA would run the campaign and he would test them for me. We'd come back with, say, and it varies, guys, obviously, in your whatever depending on where you're targeting and such, what keywords you're targeting. But on average for a normal campaign, I would come back with 15 to 20 keywords. So almost a third of whatever my overall initial attempt was will come back as ranked keywords on page 1, somewhere in that range, like 25 to 30, 25% to a third, like to 33%, somewhere in that range, right? Don't quote me on that. That's not always the case, but the vast majority of the time, that's what we get back. So now we got 15 or 20 keywords that we could contact that prospect and say, hey, look, we could rent you the one video for one keyword, and it's going to cost you, whatever your rental fees are. As I've mentioned many times in the past, when I did this, a lot of wholesale SEO services for a video production company locally, I would charge $100 a month per video or per keyword, essentially. And they would charge the customer $250 a month to maintain those rankings. But so I was making $100. You could charge that, or you could say do the same campaign, right, without having to worry about really maintaining rankings, because now you've just run 60 keywords. Let's say you got 15 of them back ranked on page 1. You contact that same prospect, say, hey, listen, I've got 15 keywords, videos for 15 keywords that are ranked right now on page 1. It's likely that they're not going to stick, but they will stick for at least a few weeks. what I propose is I rent you all of these videos, every one of them, for say $200 a month. And guys, I'm just pulling a number out of the air. You should price accordingly, price by what you think you can get for them and all of that. But my point is, say I'll give you all 15 of these videos for $200 this month. The next month, you pay me another $200 and I'm going to run the campaign again. Because some of those videos in that first month are going to drop. Some of them are going to be, some of the channels might get terminated. That happens. Some of the videos are going to get pushed way, way down. So from maybe page 1, they might drop out of the top 10 pages. That certainly happens. But out of those 15 videos, there will likely be a handful of them, a few of them that are still ranked at the end of the first month. And now the second month comes, you redo the campaign again, the same video. It's going to be uploaded to a bunch of different channels again, right? Maybe even sometimes the same channel, but there's a way to uniqueify the videos. The tool does all that stuff. And so the next month you charge the same price again, you hit the same 60 keywords again, or you could even switch it up and do another. Let's say you did 30 locations times 2 keywords before. Now you do those same 30 locations times a different 2 keywords, right? So now you've got another roughly 15 to 20 or so videos that are ranked for this client for this month. And at the end of that month, a lot of them will have slipped off of page 1, but you'll still have a few left. And in month 3, you do it again for another set of keywords or the same set all over again. So my point is, what happens over time is you start to accumulate more and more of the rankings that stick. And it helps you identify. Remember, I always use video SEO as a foot in the door strategy to upsell clients on more, on a whole suite of digital marketing services. So local maps, SEO, GMB stuff, PPC, content marketing, all the other stuff. And so my point is, if you can provide on a churn and burn basis something like this, which is a recurring campaign, it's not one campaign that you maintain over and over and over again. It's a recurring campaign. You run the campaign over and over again once per month, right? And so now you can. I found that it's a great way to show the client that you can get them results from other keywords. A lot of times, stuff that maybe they didn't even think would produce results. It also will teach you about where the opportunities lie, because you'll be able to track which keywords are producing more results if you set up tracking properly, if that makes sense. So then you know what to optimize for with more traditional assets, such as, publishing web pages or web 2s or whatever it may be. So again, it's the same video. That's why I like this strategy or this method, because it's simple and it's something that you can, as far as maintaining, there's a lot of variables, guys, that can affect the ranking of any one particular page or, property, in this case, a video, right? So instead, just do a lot more in volume. Now, if you guys have been watching Hump Day Hangouts for any time at all, I don't typically promote churn and burn strategies, but for videos, I think it's a good idea. I wouldn't do it like I'm not crazy about the mass page generator sites and all that stuff, because it's a lot of work and they take forever to index. But videos is different, right? Videos index rather quickly. They typically rank rather quickly. And unless they have syndication networks and a bunch of backlinks and engagement signals to them, they start to slip. So that's why you just redo the campaign every month, right? Because they have a limited time shelf life, a limited shelf life, so to speak. But you just do it over and over and over again every month, and it's a great strategy. But this is, again, Tom, why I don't recommend that you do it, other than maybe perhaps to really develop the process out for your own business, and then hire the shit out. Don't do it yourself, right? You can train our VA. We pay him $150 a week, so $600 a month, and he works 40 hours a week. And anytime I need what we call a video carpet bomb campaign done, I just contact him and I give him the details and he runs it. I send him a video file. And by the way, you can get an idea of kind of how, what our campaigns look like at MGYB.co, our storefront. Make Google your bitch.co, MGYB.co. We have video carpet bomb campaigns in there. And that's essentially, that's exactly what I just told you to do is what we have in there. So here's something you could think about, Tom. Instead of buying the tool yourself, and learning how to do it, and then teaching a VA how to do it, and hiring a VA and all that, you could technically have us do it at MGYB, right? You go order a video carpet bomb campaign, costs you $100, and you could sell that for $200 or $250 to a client. Does that make sense? So in other words, you could literally go out and just sell this method And if you price it accordingly, let's say you charged a client $250 a month to rerun this campaign for them every month, and you hired out from us for what's the price on that, Marco? I think it's 97, right? For the video carpet bomb?
It depends on the radius.
Right.
10 miles is only $25. If it's 20 miles, then it's 99.
There you go, $99. So that's my point. You could literally hire us to do it and cost you $100 and sell it for 100 or 250, make $150 a month profit, not even have to do the work. All you have to do at that point is data entry, right? Which is submit details for us to do the work for you. So again, totally however you want to do it. If you want to make a business out of this, Tom, then I would recommend that you hire a VA and buy the tool and then train the VA or have the VA learn how to use the tool, because then again, if for $150, you could have somebody per week working for you 40 hours per week, essentially running the tool for you nonstop. And then you think about that. If you're selling these campaigns at $250 a month, instead of paying us $100, which is a great strategy if you don't want to go through the process of learning the tool, go through all that time, that effort, all that stuff, you could certainly hire us to do it. Or if you're going to make a business out of it, like I said, in order to keep costs down, you hire an in-house video marketer, right? You can train them to do it yourself, right? And now they're going to work full time just running campaigns for you that you can go out and monetize. So there's a lot of potential there. That's a good question, by the way. Let's see. It says, you mentioned you could end up with several videos ranked for the same keyword, which confused me a little since I can't see Google ranking the same video twice. No, I mean, what I mean by that is the same video targeting. It's the same video, but you're targeting multiple variations of the keyword. So I'll use tree services for an example, guys. There are 5 main keywords in the tree service industry. There's more than 5 keywords, but there's 5 keywords that produce consistent traffic. My top rated 5 keywords are, and in this order of priority, is tree service, tree removal, tree trimming, tree cutting, and arborist services, right? Or arborist service. So there's the top 5 keywords. So my point is if I've got 20 locations and I've got 5 keywords that I want to target, I literally have 100 combinations there. And it's the same video that I'm going to use for all 100 keyword combinations. Right? So the same video could rank for multiple keywords. It's the same video. It's not the same video URL, guys. Don't let me confuse you. It's the same video file, but uploaded to multiple channels. So each individual keyword has its own individual unique YouTube URL. Okay. And so what happens is for example, there are variations to tree service, tree removal, or tree removal and tree trimming, tree cutting, right? So some variations would be tree removal service, tree trimming service, tree cutting service. So if you target some longer tail keywords like that, then you'll end up, sometimes the video will rank for multiple keywords. One video, the same URL can rank for multiple keywords because of the longer variation, right? So it'll rank for combinations, shorter combinations of the overall targeted keyword set or keyword phrase, excuse me. Okay. All right. Plus, if this is an ongoing marketing campaign, I imagine if you use the same video, your YouTube channel would be full of the same video listed over. Yeah, but that's why you don't use the same channel. Use multiple channels. That's the key to that particular strategy, right? I don't recommend ever using the same video over and over and over and over again on one channel. I know there are some products that do that. One of the products we've promoted in the past is Bill Cousins' Rocket Video Ranker, and it does that. And it works too, but that's also a churn and burn strategy. So it basically takes the same video and uploads it to one channel, but you can target 30 keywords at a time, but it's the same video to the same channel. And so what I found is it definitely works, and it works quickly, but I found a lot of the times those channels end up getting terminated or kind of like sandboxed. It's interesting, but they don't get completely terminated by Google, but the videos just don't show in search and index at all. It's kind of weird, but I've seen that happen several times. Again, it's another churn and burn strategy. It just depends on how you want to do it. The particular churn and burn strategy for video marketing that I like is what we're calling the video carpet bomb, and that's what we're talking about here. And by the way, that was Randy James came up with that name. I'm totally giving him credit for that video carpet bomb name because he was the one that came up with it. But anyways, lastly, is there a limit to the number of times you do this to a point where Google simply refuses to rank your video for the same keyword? Well, no, because again, it's different. You're using different channels all the time. If you try to do it the same, try to target the same keyword from the same channel over and over and over again, yeah, there's I mean, it's possible that that could happen. But since you're using different channels, it's not like Google's going to blacklist any video from appearing for a particular keyword, right? They might not want it showing on page 1, but they're not going to like say, okay, this keyword, we're no longer going to show videos for this keyword. You know, at least I don't think they do that. It's a great question, Tom. Anyways, Dan's up. He says, why is PowerSuggest Pro your favorite keyword tool? Because it's simple, Dan. It's a very, very simple tool, and that's what I like about it. I like easy. Can you explain a little bit about how you use it to get the most out of it? I've heard Bradley say he loves it, but does anyone else use it? Do you use it in conjunction with any workflows or other tools? Thanks. Okay, so yeah, the process that I've always kind of, well, not always, but for the last several years now, I always do a very simple process for keyword research, and it starts with Google Trends. I go to Google Trends and search, and I adjust the settings in Google Trends depending on what kind of data it returns. So for example, by default, it's usually, I think, the last 12 months. Let's just go take a look real quick. Sorry. I think that by default, it's the previous 12 months. So let's just use tree service as an example, guys, since we were just talking about that. Yeah, okay, so 12 months. And obviously, it's set based upon my IP location for United States. It'll be different for people in other countries. But what I'll do is, what I like about Trends is I can go in and determine based upon geography. So, for example, we have, United States was in here. Let's see, U.S. But if I wanted to, like, go specifically to Virginia, I could just start typing in Virginia, and I could say, okay, look, I want to look at what are the top search phrases or search activity that are related to this seed term of tree service in Virginia over the past 12 months. And sometimes you won't end up with a lot of results because we've narrowed the geography and we only have a short time frame. We're looking at the past 12 months. So in that case, for example, this is showing rise. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on trends because that wasn't your question, but I just want to give you guys a quick overview so that you understand kind of my thought process or workflow on how I do keyword research. So if we come over and take a look at top, rising is showing significant increase in search interest for that particular phrase within recent history. I don't know what recent history is. I don't know what the specific parameters are for that. Like, I don't know if it was the last 30 days or last 90 days or what. I just know that it means in the recent history, it's had a significant increase in search interest. Okay. But top is showing the keywords that are historically related to the seed term. Okay. So for the past 12 months, in this case, these are the keywords that are most closely related to the seed term of tree service in Virginia. Does that make sense? So these are the search habits of people in Virginia that are looking for tree service related keywords, and these are the keywords that come up typically. Okay, you'll see a lot of brand terms in here. If I would have done something like tree removal, in fact, you can compare terms, by the way. If I do something like tree removal, you'll see less brand terms there, right? So if we come down and say, look at top, you'll see now, look, there's not a whole lot of data here, but see, I was just talking about this earlier, guys, tree removal and a tree removal service, right? So those are similar type keywords. So you see that there's not a whole lot showing up here. So what I could do is I could extend my time frame. So if I go from past 12 months to, let's say, past 5 years, now all of a sudden we've got a lot more data, right? So now we can come back over here and look at top, and you'll see that now there's actually 8 keywords, which still isn't a whole lot considering that's going back 5 years, right? And this one's showing 10 keywords, and that's, hold on, that's rising. If we go to top, it's showing 11 keywords, okay? So the last thing that you could do is back it all the way out to all time, 2004, when they started Google Trends, to present, and then you'll have even more data. So if we come back and take a look at this again, and now remember, this is still, okay, so not much more, just one more, but you can see that this is still only Virginia. And so what happens, and by the way, guys, I was targeting the entire state. If I wanted to get hyper-local, I could. Like, for example, if I wanted to target, and there, you could see it here, Charlottesville. Like, if I wanted to target Charlottesville specifically, I could. But what I found is when you narrow geographic targeting that much, you end up with a lot less results. So I always recommend, first, I usually don't go, I try to keep it to past 5 years is my time frame. And I usually go to state level right off the bat, because I found that city levels, now, obviously, if you're in a big metropolitan city like New York City, you should have a lot of data. But, for me, I usually start at a state level. Tree services don't have a whole lot of keywords associated with that industry. So anyways, I'll go to Virginia. But if you end up finding out by increasing the time frame and that you're still not getting the amount of keywords that you're not getting a lot of good results back from this tool, then I would recommend that you start broadening your area too, right? And you could even go to the United States level, right? Because there's still going to be similar search queries no matter where you are in the United States. If you see now, there's a full 25 queries there, right? So I would probably, that's past 5 years if I wanted to. And guys, that's why I said I play around with these. Even when I'm doing keyword research, I play around with these just to see how things changed based upon time and geography. Okay. So that's step one. I don't want to spend too much more time on this, but step two is I always like to take these keywords and then, so by the way, I just copy the keywords or put them in a text file or a spreadsheet. Typically I use spreadsheets. And those become my seed terms that then I use to go search using Power Suggest Pro. Power Suggest Pro, one of my favorite tools of all time. I don't know what happened there, but who cares? Let me move this off to the side, guys. Stand by. So Power Suggest Pro should be opening up here in a second. And let's just say we wanted to, let's go back to Virginia. It's a good question, though. All right, so we'll just use tree removal service. So in this case, now this type of a keyword is because it's local. It's a local intent keyword. You're going to see that all it's going to return is a whole bunch of localized type search queries. But if I said tree removal service, VA or something like that, and I click search, you're going to see it's going to start pulling back all these returns now for tree removal service. These are coming out of auto suggest. So these are Google suggested phrases for tree removal service A, tree removal service B, or tree removal service VA. And there's essentially like a wild card in there. And that's why, because it's basically saying return all the suggested phrases that are associated with tree removal service in Virginia. And if you take a look at that, you see that very quickly it spit out all these different keywords that are showing up in search, Google suggest, that are localized or local search intent keywords, right? So now I know that these are all keywords that are very popular. These are traffic producing keywords. Why are they traffic producing keywords? Because they're in Google suggest. Think about that, guys. When you go to Google and you start to search on a desktop, which, by the way, about 70% of all traffic now comes from, or all search traffic originates on mobile devices, guys. So desktop search is becoming a dinosaur. But regardless, let's just say I say tree removal service, and if I could just spell for a minute. Here's all these suggested phrases. Okay, you see that? By the way, near me keywords, guys, those are huge. They're absolutely huge right now because of what I just said. 70% of all mobile searches are originating on mobile devices. Near me keywords pop up in suggest instantly. They're almost the first thing that come up in suggest. Well, remember, on a mobile device, guys, when you start to use Google, you all know what happens on a smartphone, which is what 99% of the population has now, right? When you start to do a search on a mobile device, half the screen is taken up by the keyboard. The other half of the screen, as soon as you start typing the search query in, Google Suggest takes up the other half of the screen and suggests the search queries, right? Recommended search queries. And because it's on a mobile device, it's so much easier to tap a closely related recommended search query than it is to finish typing out your search query, right? On that little shitty keyboard. And so my point is, there's a ton of traffic to be had from mobile devices because of suggest. And all of the phrases that pop up in Google's, Power Suggest Pro are phrases directly pulled from Google Auto Suggest. So they are traffic producing keywords. Don't worry about whether the Google Keyword AdWord Planner or Longtail Pro or any of those other stupid keyword tools out there that have a million bells and whistles that give you all these competitive metrics. Don't worry about whether they say there's search volume or not, because if it shows up in suggest, there's search volume, period. End of story, period. And remember, the keyword tools rely on the Google Keyword Planner for search volume metrics. Search volume metrics from the Google Keyword Planner are AdWords or Google Ads keywords. They're for pay per click. They're not the same as SEO-based keywords, guys. So even though the Google Keyword Planner may show, if you spit out all the keywords that you wanted from here, let's say that you wanted all these, again, just for example's sake, if you spit all these out and you entered them into the Google Keyword Planner to look at search volume data, many of these keywords are going to say no search volume at all. But that's bullshit, because if they're in suggest, you will get traffic on them, especially for mobile devices, period. So that's why I love this tool, guys, because again, look, it's real simple. It doesn't give me a bunch of it doesn't give me any competitive metrics. I don't need all that stuff. All I need to know is which keywords produce traffic, and these keywords produce traffic. And it does it really quickly. There's no learning curve with this tool at all, guys. I mean, you can play around with some of the settings and stuff. You'll get different results, whether you use suffix A to Z or suffix AA to ZZ, or if you do recursive, yes or no. There's different search engines that will scrape. All of these produce suggested results. So you can select, if you're doing YouTube marketing, if you're specifically targeting Yahoo or Bing, I don't know who does that, but if you did, you could find additional keywords from them. There's Amazon, eBay, there's all kinds of stuff, right? I typically just use it for Google and YouTube. But it's a great tool, guys. And for years now, I stopped paying for all those really, there were keyword tools that we've used at Semantic Mastery that literally cost us $800 a month. No shit, $800 a month to use a keyword tool. And I stopped using those tools for this one. I think it's $77 one-time fee. I think we have a link somewhere that allows you to get it for $57 if you want to drop that on the page somewhere, Adam, or anybody. Anyways, sorry I went so long on these two questions, but they were two really good questions that I really wanted to get out to you guys. So this one here, like I said, guys, it's a simple tool. I use all that. Finally, what I will do, though, even though I mentioned the keyword planner is an AdWords tool, I do still like sometimes to try to determine if there are search volume data for some of the keywords, even though I know there's traffic on them, whether the keyword planner says it or not. Why do I want to know? Because if there's search volume data in the keyword planner, it's likely that people are bidding on those keywords. So by taking my list that I accumulate or that I generate from my research, from first using Trends, second using Power Suggest Pro, then I can go enter my finalized list of keywords into the Google Keyword Planner and look at search volume data so that I can determine which keywords are that people are bidding on for AdWords or Google Ads now. Because now I know that those are the ones that are likely the most profitable keywords, right? Because if people are bidding on them, it must be money there. Or else if people aren't bidding on them, it's typically because they don't produce any revenue. That makes sense. Okay. Also, you can find some additional keyword suggested ideas through the keyword planner after you've done this initial research. It's a great question. Too bad we're not giving shit away. Go ahead.
What I have for this is that when you start broader, right, you can get just so many keyword ideas from Power Suggest Pro, but by digging into each category, if you want to consider it a category, you won't get categories, but you'll know if you've done keyword research long enough, you'll know what's a category keyword, and what's a supporting keyword. And so you can just dig and dig and dig. And what I've found is that you come up with just thousands of keyword ideas, and then from those you can cherry pick the long tails so that you can start ranking right away, and you can start producing traffic to the website, and it's likely to become people who convert. I mean, it's really, really powerful to use that way. It's one of the ways that we use it in our keyword research. I mean, we dig down into whatever people give us as the niche and use Power Suggest Pro, and then just keep digging and digging and digging and digging. Sometimes you end up with thousands and thousands of keywords, man.
Yeah, and that's I want to. That's why I just started to demonstrate this as you were talking, because, like, for example, I just put how to cut down a tree, right? Guys, I don't even have recursive on. Recursive means after it searches and it pulls back all of the results, it goes back and then searches each one of the results again, plus the suffix A to Z if you have suffix added. So it's like what Marco just said. Sometimes this thing will spit out 3,000 keywords. It's ridiculous. And the thing is, especially when you have recursive on, which I don't, because it could run for, like, several minutes if that's the case. But when I have recursive on, you'll see, like, for example, how much does it cost to just cut down a tree? How much does it cost to cut down a queen palm tree? Look how specific some of these search phrases are coming out, right? And now if I have a tree service site and I'm in an area that has palm trees, then it's likely that there's search queries. Remember, this is a suggested search queries, guys. How much does it cost to cut down a queen palm tree? That means when somebody starts to type in queen palm tree or cut down a queen palm tree, in fact, let's just go take a look at it. we'll say cut down a queen palm tree, cutting down a queen palm tree, all that. You can see those type of keywords come up and suggest, and before somebody even finishes typing it out, they're going to say, oh, well, there you go, that's close enough, right? And so that's what I'm saying. There's traffic on those keywords, and look at some of how long those are. And then if I have recursive on, some of them come back even longer. It's crazy. I have seen like full-on sentences as suggested search queries that have come back in here. And those are absolutely great topics, guys, or keywords, search queries, right, to target with blog posts or Q&A posts and things like that, because there's so few people targeting such long tail stuff like this. You can start to generate a lot of traffic over time by just building up. I mean, very, very simple stuff, guys, like how much does it cost to cut down a queen palm tree? Put that question on a blog post and answer it with a little bit of schema markup. And next thing you know, you end up in position 0 or in one of these areas right here, right? So, and you get a shit ton of traffic from that. Okay. So anyways, it's a great tool, guys. I absolutely love it. As Marco said, like I've learned over the last couple of years that I used to always just go straight to SEO stuff, and I would do a ton of keyword research, and I would generate literally thousands of keywords for a project before I would, and then I would just start doing SEO. Now I've really gotten to the point where I always start with Google Ads so that I can really pinpoint where the money keywords are, the lead generating keywords are. And then I start basing my SEO campaign, right? I develop my SEO campaign based around the keywords that I know produce traffic that converts because of AdWords, or Google Ads, I should say now. And then I'll use this type of stuff now for content marketing to start building up the SEO presence and start generating traffic from the longer tail stuff that will trickle in little bits and pieces at a time. So you start to accumulate little traffic streams from these longer tail keywords. But the bulk of your traffic is going to come from just a handful of keywords, and it always does, at least in local marketing it does. The 80-20 principle absolutely applies. And if any of you guys do AdWords or Google Ads now, you know that to be 100% true. Sometimes it's 80-20, where 80% of your results come from 20% of your keywords. Sometimes it's 90-10, sometimes it's 95-5. And again, if any of you guys that are doing any Google Ads, you know that to be true. And so why spend a shit ton of time on a lot of long tail keywords when the bulk, there's a reason to do that, right? Building up silo structure and all of that so that you can rank organically for the short tail keywords. You need to have the long tail keywords. But what I'm talking about is like initially starting off, getting your silo structure in place, using the keywords that as the top of silo that you know produce traffic and results, which is what you can determine with AdWords rather quickly, which is a few $100s in ad spend. You can determine that. And then you can develop your SEO campaign based around those results or that data, right? And you can develop a much stronger SEO campaign right off the bat. You can map it all out ahead of time. It'll make your job so much easier as an SEO. And by the way, if you want to learn how to really stack keywords and everything properly, SEO Bootcamp by Jeffrey Smith. By the way, he's going to be a guest speaker at POFU Live. So another reason to come join us. All right. That was a long question too. Damn, we're almost out of time. Dan and Tom are the winners today. Rich is up. He says, I have taken a job with a drop shipping firm along with other stuff, and the Magento developer has gone silent. Do you have a couple you could recommend? I do not. If anybody knows, can help Richard Harmon with a Magento developer, please post on the event page. I don't do any e-com stuff at all, guys, so I can't really recommend anything. Any of you on the call, can you recommend it?
No, I mean, the people that I know, you'd have to have really deep pockets, because Magento development can get into the just thousands and thousands of dollars. Man. It's not something simple to work with. But I would suggest Upwork. You might be able to find someone in another country that would do it for like a lower price if you're on a budget for the budget that you're looking to spend on it.
Yeah, I do agree with Marco. Magento is like the Rolls Royce of the e-commerce, but it's like if you get a flat tire on a Rolls Royce, So it's that type of stuff. So yeah, I do agree with Marco. Another stuff that you could do, Richard, is to go and ask on both the Semantic Mastery Mastermind Facebook group if you're part of it. If not, you can go on the free the Facebook group, the SEO tutorials and case study with Facebook groups, or maybe in a couple of e-commerce Facebook groups. That usually helps as well. But yeah, I do agree with Marco. I tried once with Magento, and it's like meth.
So you ran away with your tail tucked between your legs, right?
Not even once. Yeah, not even once.
Yeah. I don't do e-com, guys, so I can't be of any assistance. I've got nothing. So, Jordan, I peaked CORA reports. What's up, Jordan? Peaked CORA reports on MGYB. That is deliciousness like a plate of tacos. That's awesome. One of those rolling out. Aren't they available now?
You should be able to order now. It's not very descriptive since we haven't added the description in Samcart, but I think you can order them since you already know what they are. You don't need to know what they do. That's
probably should also probably link to a example report on the page so that people can see what they're going to get from a CORA report. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's all coming. But I mean,
Okay,
we've been busy just adding a whole bunch of other stuff, and that we're developing our own process for one of the services, which took priority, and that's being worked on. Yeah. And so it's a work in progress, guys. MGYB is a work in progress. We got it out in record time, and we're just going to keep adding to it.
Yep. Awesome. Scott says for Richard, he's got a comment for you, Richard, but basically he's saying that, Magento, it's going to cost you a shit ton of money. That's basically what he's saying. So thanks, Scott, for your input on that. Scott says, just received my first GMP verified account from MGYB. Are you recommending accessing these via proxies or doesn't matter? Thanks. It's your call, Scott.
Yeah, but it's not something that we want to discuss in a free forum. This isn't a question here. Scott, ask us in Facebook. You know where to go.
There you go. Okay, good enough. Heroic says, hey guys, can you share a few strategies you can use to make a lead gen site more authoritative? Well, RYS drive stacks are going to help. If it's a lead gen site, it's a verified GMB profile, then that should help. If it's a lead gen thing, it likely does. But I would say an RYS drive stack would help. Obviously, a syndication network, because all of those are like every single tier 1 branded profile that you create is like another it's another validator, another entity validator, right? So syndication networks, even if you're not syndicating to them, is still powerful for that reason. It helps to validate the entity, pass authority, especially if you interlink them the way that we teach in Syndication Academy, or if you just purchase the done for you networks, which is the much easier route to go anyways, right? Again, RYS drive stacks, that's going to pass authority. Doing the local PR pro method, local press release, using press releases, that absolutely helps. So there's just a combination of those three. Obviously, the local GMB pro method doesn't really. I don't know if local GMB pro method helps gain authority for normal like organic ranking or not, because we don't care. We're not worried about rankings with the local GMB pro method. We're worried about activity that generates leads. It generates engagement from primarily mobile devices, which is what the local GMB pro method is about. It's not about ranking. It's about producing engagement from Google, which produces results, leads. So again, the combination of all of those things, I know they're all our products, but we have those products for a reason. They work. You want to comment on that?
Yeah, having a verified entity gives you trust and authority, especially when you're verifying the entity with the very entity that's looking for these signals, right? That's what you're looking to trigger. So why not? Why wouldn't you have a transparent entity? That's you. It's your company, or if your name is your business, why wouldn't you go and say, here I am, I'm transparent, I'm building my company, this is my, whatever information it is that you can provide, and we go through all of that in great detail in our training in local GMB Pro and RYS Academy Reloaded in the Black Book. I mean, this is what you're looking for, to be more trusted and authoritative in your niche. Go ahead.
I got a simple one for him too that probably a lot of people don't know about. Marcus probably gonna be mad, but set up a G Suite account for the domain for that lead gen property, and you're gonna pay Google $5 a month. That might even be $10 a month now. but you're going to pay Google $5 or $10 a month for that G Suite account, but you're going to have a Google account on your domain. Like essentially you'll have a Gmail account using your domain email and all of that. And that right off the bat is a huge authority or entity validator for Google. Like having a verified Google My Business profile is great. There's no doubt. But also having a G Suite account tied to the same domain that's associated with your lead gen property is going to also help. Okay. So definitely check that out. Guys, I use G Suite for everything now. I freaking love it because it does. It really just adds authority to the overall entity. And it's like instant authority by just paying Google. Google likes to see that, guys, because now they know that they've got, they can bill you, right? There's a billing source. So they know that you're a valid entity or a real person behind it instead of somebody's just spamming shit to death if you're willing to pay Google. So even for a lot of my newer lead gen sites, guys, I set up $5 a month G Suite accounts. And yeah, it cost me $5 a month. Who cares? That it's an instant credibility. It's instant credibility to Google. Okay. Quit this house. How do you download a video from a site to upload video to GMB? Just use one of the I just go to Firefox. I've got a couple of them over here. Let's see. One of them is called Video Download Helper. That's an extension there. There's another one that just go to Firefox and search for video download extensions or plugins or something like that, and download and install one of them, and then just go visit the web page. And it depending on the app, it's going to have different functionalities for how to download the video. But pretty much in Firefox, you can download just about any video.
Yeah, I have two desktop apps that I use. I use YouTube Downloader because I mean it's really fast, and I use any video converter because I can convert the video file into anything I want. So either one of those, and they're totally free and they totally rock.
Yeah. Okay. Wood wine boxes. Do you have a recommendation for residential proxy supplier, small number? The only one I know of for residential proxies is one that I'm actually using right now. If you are familiar with Browsio, it's a service that it's not Browsio's service. It's a vendor that they're been promoting or whatever, but it's called NetNut, NETNUT.io. And they have a residential proxy service that you can buy, and you pay based on bandwidth usage. Like essentially, I think I get 10 gigabytes a month usage for $75. Because I just use you get it's a pool of IPs that are residential IPs, and every time it's an HTTP request proxy service. In other words, every time you refresh a page, it'll pull back a new proxy from the same general location. But it's interesting because you can refresh the page on like whoer.net and see the actual IP change. And so it's pretty cool, but again, it'll stay within a very targeted or very close area so that it won't trigger like re-verification and stuff. I've been using it now for several weeks for all my Browsio profiles. I mean, I got shit open here, right? You know, bunches of stuff open right now, and I'm using that same thing, and it works really good because they're not commercial proxies like most proxy providers. They're actual residential. Again, I would just go to the Browsio's Facebook group. In fact, I don't think they're doing anything on Facebook anymore. I think they've got a Skype group. Try to find the access to the Skype group, and then you could request. And you might be able to find some information in their Facebook group. I just think that they've moved the conversation to Skype, and see about that offer. That's the only one I would recommend currently at the moment for this kind of stuff. Okay. We're almost out of time, guys. I'm going to have to wrap it up here in a minute. Love that meme. That's awesome. Thanks, Greg. Jay says, Marco, going to do my first SERP space link package to a client's RYS local iframe loop in tier 1s. Do you recommend going an extra mile and providing to SERP space G shorten links or SERP space link package? Or would you recommend interposting a redirect I control so that I can redirect them in the future?
Yeah, it depends on how much control you want over this. If you supply your own G shorten links, then Delia will, of course, build to those. If you want to have that switch box, right, Terry Kyle? If you want to have that switch box in place, then yes, by all means. I mean, talk to Delia. Delia knows exactly what to do when it comes to link building. He's been with us for years. Well, he started out with Bradley, but he's been with Semantic Mastery since the beginning, providing link building services, and he's still at it. He's the best. He knows what to do.
He's been with me since 2012, I think. 2012 or it might have been 13. Anyways, he's been with me for a long damn time. No shit. So, And that was, who was that asked that question? Jay? Yeah, Jay. In fact, if you just ping or tag Dedia in one of the groups, whichever group you're in, just one of our Facebook groups, I'm sure he'd be happy to answer some questions for you. And he's, again, anytime we have any questions about spam link packages, we just ask him, because he always is up to date with the most effective strategy currently. Okay. I don't keep up with that shit because I have a Dedia. All right. All right. Last question. Look what then he says. If we order a video carpet bomb through you guys, do we supply the video file? Yes. You need to supply the video file, the thumbnail image, if you have a specific thumbnail image, which I recommend you do, because remember, that's like a little mini ad, like a banner ad. I would also recommend, you're going to have to give us the keywords, the zip code of the central location, which we do a radius of, and then the NAP and the target URL if you have a URL. So any name, address, phone number, and target URL of the business if you're promoting a local business, which is really what this campaign type is designed for. Okay. So, but that's it. That's all you got to do is provide us those few things, right? So video file, thumbnail, main keywords. There's a couple of keywords, I think, depending on the package level, the primary location, and then the NAP, name, address, phone number with the target URL. That's it. That's all you got to provide. Just take you a couple minutes to get that together. Okay. All right, guys, we only went 1 minute over. That's pretty impressive. Thanks for sticking around, guys.
That's not bad.
Cool. Everybody good?
POFU Live.
That's it.
Come and
That's all
join
I
us.
gotta say.
What's
Bye,
your
everyone.
What's your position, right?
Right.
All right,
Yeah.
guys. See you all later. Thanks.
All
Yeah.
right. Bye.